All right, team, gather round. We're 10 points down, 10 seconds out. We need everyone to huddle in. We're going to run 3 Wise Radio.
More questions in the mystery of the universe on today's show.
I wasn't recording that conversation at all.
God damn it!
More mistakes sure to come in this show. Is that a good one?
Were you recording at all?
Were you?
No. There's a certain way this has worked for the past 8 weeks. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. We'll go.
Just try and recreate that conversation you just had.
No, I got a better one.
All right, what's the better conversation?
The one that we had earlier when you were yelling at me for not recording when you wanted me to.
Meta.
Like Sam said, more mistakes on today's show.
No, I want you to start the show now, Joe.
Oh!
Welcome to 3 Wise Radio, home of the radio with the wisest 3 people. I'm Sam. Joined to me are Garret and Joe. Garret and Joe, how's it
Do you
hanging?
guys really not know how this goes?
I just did it.
Not even close.
Pretty close. I think I got the point across.
Welcome to 3 Wise Radio, the podcast where we talk about media, movies, TV, television,
Nope.
TV, comic books, video games, and everything else media related.
I just said that.
As you can tell, you're listening to 3 Wise Radio. My name is Joe Greller. I'm broadcasting from, as usual, an undescribed location, probably some cave. That's medievally, right? And joined with me, as usual, is Garrett Welker and Sam Pixley.
Hey,
It's not the
Joe.
normal intro, but now we're into the show.
Great. We got where we were going. And like they always say, it's the destination, not the journey.
Oh, this one was about the journey. We took them on a long journey.
Oh, damn it. Well, yeah, happy to be here. It's beautiful out.
It is.
Crisp 63 degrees.
That is a crisp.
I'm
That's
happy.
pretty good. Anyway, we're going to be talking about medieval stuff because King Arthur and the Legend of the Sword. Is that the name of that movie?
Yep, it's a mistake.
That's
Just the
very,
title is such a mistake.
and apparently so is the movie. But that's not going to keep us from talking about our favorite medieval things because I don't like medieval stuff. So we figured it'd be a good topic for today's show. But first and foremost, some headlines, starting with what is the favorite movie, or I should say my favorite movie, I love to always bring up updates on Avatar. Yep, Avatar sequels.
Wish you wouldn't.
Starting off with Fear the Walking Dead actor Cliff Curtis.
Oh,
So
boy.
if you guys would see him, you know who he is.
From
He's like
Walking Dead?
Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh.
I don't know who he is then.
If you saw a picture of him, I guarantee you would know who he is.
Okay.
IGN has confirmed that he will have a lead role in Avatars 2, 3, 4, and 5, playing someone named Tonawari, the leader of the Reef clan Metakikanya.
Oh, I know this guy.
I'm going to assume that you mispronounced all of those.
Possibly. Or
This
did I?
guy.
It's Avatar. No one knows for sure
Yeah, that
because
guy.
there's nothing documented.
I believe he was in Live Free or Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
Think he was. The first time I saw him was in Runaway Jury, which I love that movie. Dustin Hoffman, Gene Hackman, John Cusack. It's a great freaking movie, man. I think Rachel Weisz is in that too.
So he was
Great.
also in The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah, I've never seen that. But
Just
haven't heard
think
good
about it.
things.
Correct.
Is that a
Wait,
good
what's
thing
the
or a
point? Is it
bad
just
thing
that
that he's
he's-
in both Avatar franchises now?
I think it's a good thing. Covering
It's
the
good
whole
for
thing.
him. He's getting paid for 4 movies he'll never have to do.
Yeah.
Casting news to me doesn't mean anything for this movie. It's still so conceptual that no one could be cast in this movie and I'd be excited because I still don't see it as an actual like entity.
Yeah.
So I can't visualize a person playing a role in something because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Very true. Speaking of things that didn't exist or don't exist or did exist at one point, in dinosaur news, scientists have found a newly discovered dinosaur species that have been now named after the Ghostbuster villain Zuul.
What?
Have you seen this?
No.
Describe the dinosaur.
So CBC News is reporting that a private excavators, I can't talk today, accidentally bumped into the well-preserved and dinosaur name because I'm not even going to try and butcher that, skeleton while unearthing a nearby Tyrannosaurus in Judith River Formation in Montana. The plant-eating species has officially been named Zuul and is said to be over 75 million years old. Basically, it looks like one of the dogs from the Ghostbuster movies.
It's just called Zuul.
Zuul Croviciasatora.
Good, there you go. Oh, yeah, I did. I think I saw this. It's like a really well-preserved fossil or something.
Of a brand new dinosaur that they just seen.
Half the time, I feel like when they find a brand new dinosaur, it just ends up being that it's actually just a different version of a similar dinosaur, like an older or a younger version. Yeah. Fingers still crossed that this is a new thing, but I mean, I guess this is cool. I don't know what insight it actually provides us with anything, but it's nice to learn something new.
I think the only thing it does is provide us with how much the nerd pop culture is basically being integrated in today's society. Like, to name it after a thing that was in a movie, you would have not seen that really 30 years ago when Ghostbusters came out.
I mean, we've got elements named after people. We've got, species named after people. We've got science. Like, I think that's kind of a nice thing. It's a humble thing of a scientist to rather name it about himself than to name it on something else. Cool.
Name it after a thing it kind of looks like from a show you like.
Yeah.
It looks just like I think it's an ankylosaur, is the one with a sledgehammer tail.
Yeah.
It looks like the same
that was the word I couldn't pronounce.
Sledgehammer?
No, the ankylosaurus skeleton or whatever.
I think that's right, but I'm not sure. Apparently, so
it's a member of that subgroup.
The species name, the second part, Curavastator, means destroyer of shins. Okay, whoever found this was great.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
so
paint.
Basically how it came about is the two people who unearthed it were jokingly saying it looked like Zuul from Ghostbusters, and they said once they said it, they couldn't unsee it. So it just came to fruition. Which, if anyone is curious who that is the dog that Sigourney Weaver turns into. So
there is no Dana. It's only Zuul.
Exactly.
Sounds good to me. Bravo.
For our Ghostbusters friends. In video game news, MLB The Show 17 has had to apologize to servers. Well, servers, I mean people who play the game, after their actual servers, computer servers, had issues on the launch. MLB The Show was slated to release in March and did to positive reviews, but unfortunately the servers, the moment they went to online play, basically took a shit in the bag. According to its statement, the Show Nation website, the developers have been working nonstop to repair the game's online experience, and a number of changes have been made, and the developers feel that the online experience has been greatly improved. This seems like it happens after every game. I'm just surprised it's happened to a video game that's been out and nothing really new has been added. You think that you would be prepared to roll over the next year's version of the game?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's got nothing to do with like new effects or things that they can't keep up with. It's just that their servers weren't properly situated to handle, I'm guessing, the input, how many players were joining. So it's not a matter of what it could handle. It's just they didn't have what was necessary to do it. It's not like, oh, we weren't expecting the game to do this. They just weren't expecting the player magnitude or something along those lines. Or they tried to make a shortcut that didn't work. I think it also go ahead.
I was going to say, well, so those of us who aren't that well versed in video game knowledge, is this a regular occurrence or is this something that doesn't really happen?
Not a lot. The big thing that this is kind of an indicator for is that we're getting this thing a lot more, and it's usually with non-sports games where games are being released and people are calling it that they're just releasing beta versions now and that they'll pay your $60. We'll fix the game eventually. Game designers and companies are more likely to push out a product that might not be complete and patch it up with eventual patches as well as extra content that you can pay for to finally make a complete game. That's been a pretty strong complaint for the last couple of years from people. They're just saying like, oh, this downloadable content is stuff that probably should have been in the game in the first place. And it seems like they're kind of just trying to make an extra buck, which is why there has been a pretty good pushback with a lot of the games. I know The Witcher from CD Projekt Red, I believe, as well as a couple other companies. That's the most notable one for the amount of content that they put out, are just saying all of our DLC is free.
Oh wow, that's
I
better.
think you might be able to get it faster if you pay for it, but there's like everything is free. This is the game, and this is the world we want to tell you, which has actually yielded really strong results for any company that's done that.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive. So you think that's the future going forward then?
I think it'll be a mixture of the two. The popular one that it seems to be now is any content that's single player related or story related will cost money. Anything that's cosmetic and doesn't input the game, like if you want skins or different weapons or things like that, that will cost money. Titanfall 2 did it as well. I just put that game in a while back ago, and it was a lot of fun. But the game, like new maps, things like that, don't cost money. Skins and new vehicles and stuff, they do. Which
Hey,
that
there
makes
you go.
sense.
Yeah.
That
The
seems to be
future of
the
video
smartest
gaming.
system, yeah.
In movie news, I'm never a huge fan of horror movie prequels because I feel like they're taking all the mystery out of it that made the horror movie great. But that's not stopping from the people that brought you Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I really can't talk today. From bringing us a Leatherface prequel about a tiny Leatherface. Because, who doesn't want to see that? I don't.
It's gonna be an inbred, mentally challenged child that slowly turns into a killer.
I guess.
Don't know how to put a good spin on this.
No.
What's the it's the Jessica Biel one, right? Texas Chainsaw Massacre Beginnings. We've already gotten a Texas
It's a great
Chainsaw
movie.
Massacre prequel, and that one was actually really good. I thought that was served better as a reboot than the original reboot.
Yeah, agreed. But that also was, you could barely call it a prequel because
Right.
all the characters were still pretty much the same, except for I think the sheriff was a different kind of point there. But I believe, unless I'm confusing that with something else, but like the family members were all like pretty much the same. Like Leatherface was still Leatherface, just maybe a little younger, a little sleeker. But I wouldn't call that a prequel.
Do you think we should keep going down already established horror movie villains like Mike Myers, like Jason, like Leatherface? Or do you think it's time for new slasher icons? Or should we just reboot? Like, where's the future of slasher going? Have these guys kind of cemented themselves as like Batman, Superman, in just a different version of folktale lore? Or have they? Are we looking for something fresh in the slasher genre, I should say?
That's complicated. Like with everything else, you have it because those big three are almost like archetypes now, where they will never go away just because they were the traditional slashers.
And yet Leatherface was before all of them.
Right, but he's in there, but he's like a fringe because he was almost like the GameCube is too soon. Like,
Gotcha.
great system, but came out a little too soon, so it flatlined. Or sorry, I'm talking about the Dreamcast. My mistake.
You apologize to Nintendo.
But they try and put out some different slasher stuff, but nothing has like that gripping element that we've seen from those movies. And honestly, the reboots are hit or miss. Friday the 13th reboot wasn't bad. The first Halloween one with Rob Zombie was really good. The second one was trash. I personally liked the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. A lot of people hated it.
Oh, I liked it.
But they'll never be as good as the classics. I'm okay with whenever they reboot it. I'm always okay with it because it's a slasher movie. Like, you're not going to get anything that's going to totally break the mold and be amazing and new. And the only way you're probably going to get that is from creating a new character and trying to do something different. So I like the old stuff, and I do appreciate when they keep coming out with new things too. So I would like to have my cake and eat it too if I can.
Okay.
So that goes along with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You're totally good with this prequel movie.
Yeah, I don't care. It's fine. It depends on the prequel. Like, again, I don't want to see a movie about a mentally challenged child that turns into a killer. Like, that's what that prequel, like, if that's how prequel you want to take it, like, that I don't need. You kind of got that in the Halloween remake, too, where it showed him being, like, him as a child, and some people didn't care for that. I liked that element, but I don't want to see like a big time prequel like that.
Okay. I can follow that. On to TV news, because it is that time of the year, spring sweep. So either your favorite show is getting renewed, canceled, or, well, just letting you dangle by a string until you find out next fall or something. So diving into TV news, the most weirdest TV news of the week, Timeless, that Doctor Who ripoff that was on NBC this year, was canceled earlier in the week before being brought back just 4 days later for a 10-episode second season. Why
Really?
cancel something if you're just going to bring it back 5 days later?
Is it a 10-episode like season finale or series finale?
Just 10 episodes, season 2.
But they haven't said like this will be the last season.
No.
Huh.
I would imagine that they've already got something in the tank for it, right?
So what originally, I don't know storyline wise, but what originally happened was they canceled it. Then apparently all the fans took to the web and all this other stuff, as we've seen time and time again now when shows get canceled. And the producers and showrunners started shopping it around. And I guess there was some interest in it because the moment they started shopping it around, NBC said, just kidding. We'll have you back just for a lot less episodes.
Yeah. I mean, that was a huge thing back in probably, early 2000s? Trying to keep shows around like that.
They would do like shoe drives and all these other weird Subway sandwich stuff. And
yeah, Chuck, I remember when they tried to get that, they would do big pushes like sending Subway sandwiches to them. I think it's also the idea that NBC was maybe willing to take a gamble in a smaller scale because everybody wants to find that like hometown hero almost, where you like everybody's rooting for the young show that, oh, well, man, can you believe that Timeless is in its 8th season? And let's look back. Even in the 2nd season, they almost got canceled, and then they barely strung it together, and look what it became. And so maybe like the cost effectiveness of it was enough for them to roll the dice.
Yeah.
So I'll give them credit because not a lot of the main companies roll the dice anymore.
no, very true. It is an Eric Kripke show, Sam, so it has the possibility to go on for 13 seasons and more.
Did he do Smallville? Or no, did he do, I don't know who that is.
He's the original creator of Supernatural.
Oh. But he's
But
out
left
of it,
after
right?
season 5. He hasn't been on the show since season 5.
Gotcha.
Because remember, his idea for that show was 5 seasons.
Right, and
it told a complete story. And then he's like, oh, crap, you guys are just going to keep doing this, aren't you? And they still are, even to today.
Has he given comment on where it is now?
I have not read anything, no. I don't even know how much input he has, if at all. I think he still gets, obviously, residuals and producer money and stuff like that. But
Yeah. Okay.
anyway, shows that have gotten canceled. 2 Broke Girls will now permanently remain broke. They've been canceled by CBS after 6 seasons. So
that was a big
no Thor 3 and no 2 Broke Girls for Kat Dennings. What's she going to do from now on?
Do Kat Dennings stuff? What did she do before those things? She was in Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
Yeah, I think she's about to exit the realm of being able to play like the college age, high school age person.
Mm-hmm.
So we might see a reinvention or something. I don't know. 2 Broke Girls being canceled. It's tragic.
It is. CBS never pulls the plug on their sitcoms. That's why I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. My favorite thing that I saw on Reddit was just a high quality GIF of just people asking like, "Oh, everybody's laughing at 2 Broke Girls for being canceled." Like, "Ha ha ha, that show sucks." And everyone's like, "Do you actually watch it?" No. Then why do you care? I was like, I don't know.
Actually, I'll admit, I've watched episodes, and some of the episodes I've seen are very entertaining. And then all of a sudden, there's a very racially charged, like
It is a very racist
1960s Asian stereotype guy that comes on that show, and I'm like, it stops it dead in its tracks. It's very uncomfortable, and it's like, does everyone know what's going on here? I feel like you don't know what's going on here.
Are you guys the racist? Am I the racist for noticing this? Am I? I've watched that show a couple of times. It's just got the same. I mean, I guess it's CBS, but it's got that same feel of The Big Bang Theory that like. And people tell me that Seinfeld did this, and I'm sure they did, but I never felt it where someone says a line, then there's a pause. Then someone says a line, then there's a pause. It feels really mechanical.
Well, it's because the CBS shows, and they're notorious for doing this. They like the multicam setup where you're on a stage and you're playing to a crowd. So the pauses are built in for, hey, we're going to throw up the laughter sign. Everyone laughs. So we have the laughter in it. And I'm not a huge fan of it. In my personal opinion, your best sitcoms, and Scrubs kind of made the evolution jump in this, is your one camera sitcoms. It makes for better storytelling, in my opinion, better timed jokes on camera.
Takes a lot longer to do, though, I believe.
Yes, and CBS hates it. The only single cam show I remember them doing that was sitcom got canceled after one season, and that was the Robin Williams, Sarah Michelle Gellar one.
Oh, Crazy Ones, right?
Yeah.
Good show.
It was very good, and for some reason they didn't even give it a chance, but they gave Mom multiple chances.
Did you ever watch, there's a video of they replaced, I believe it was Big Bang Theory, they replaced the laugh track in Big Bang Theory with just Ricky Gervais' laugh. If you're familiar with him, he has a really terrible laugh, and it makes it so awkward. It's quite fantastic. Highly recommended.
Absolutely. In, I guess, now Netflix news, Jason Bateman has officially signed on for Arrested Development Season 5. So that is 100% a go. Do we want more Arrested Development? I mean, back when this happened, Season 4, it was right on the cusp of streaming original programming and old shows being resurrected onto a streaming service. Did it kind of serve its purpose and now it's done, or do we want to see a Season 5 of this?
I personally could not get through the 4th season. I keep being told that it's much better as it slowly goes through it, but I really thought the way they broke it down and the way they kind of retooled it to follow each individual person took away from the dynamic of what I love so much about that show.
So you were excited for Season 4 going into it,
I was very excited for Season 4 going in, and then it just felt... It felt almost like... What is it called? What is that? The trench. It's some kind of, isn't it some kind of, or the valley, like the valley where like a robot can only become so human.
The Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, like there was like an Uncanny Valley for that show, and I was like, this feels like people that aren't these people making this show.
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying.
If that makes any sense, it's not really well placed, but it's just like body snatchers taking everybody and doing the show. It felt weird, slightly off kilter.
You think that was because it was a streaming service? Like maybe this is a type of show that only works in the time period it was produced or only works for a network broadcast?
No, I think it's just the format they chose. Because I would binge Arrested Development. I can watch one episode of Arrested Development and I can also binge it. It just was really just something was just off about it. And it wasn't anything to do with the network or streaming or anything like that.
No, writing has already officially started, and they're slated to begin production late 2017. On to sci-fi news. In advance of its 25th anniversary this September, Sci-Fi has announced a self-proclaimed network reboot focused on a renewed commitment to the genre and fandom at large, which does include the Superman prequel Krypton, which has now officially been ordered as a series. Sci-Fi is even going to change its logo again to a much more blocky SYFY.
Thought they already did the SYFY block.
Yeah.
You have to see it. It's almost like 8-bit blocky.
This could be a big step for them in the right direction or the wrong direction. I think it's time for them to do it because they have had a lot of success lately, if I'm correct. They've hit like kind of some solid 3 or 4 shows that are kind of picking up some traction. I think a rebranding could be really good that like, hey, we're trying to take ourselves a little more seriously with the content that we put out and the quality of the things. Like we're not doing Mansquito 4, which I mean, that's personally what my family loves about it is those movies, but almost like we've got 2 genres. We're not just jokey, crappy sci-fi movies. We're still going to make those, but that's almost going to be like if they changed it to like
an after hours.
A Sci-Fi Side Studios or something like
Right.
that.
Like almost if they had their Adult Swim or something.
Yeah, make it like a gimmick, or make it like an offshoot or something like that, and then have your content that you take more seriously.
Because Sci-Fi used to be known for great original programming, like Warehouse 13, Eureka, Being Human. Like they used to have some really good stuff back in the day.
But nothing had longevity.
Didn't Stargate and Battlestar Galactica start?
Warehouse 13 and Battlestar Galactica, I think, went 5 to 6 years.
But were those always? I don't think those started on Sci-Fi, did they? Battlestar Galactica did it?
I thought it did.
I'm not sure, honestly.
Warehouse 13, I know for sure did. Anyway, they'll be debuting all this on June 19th, and they will start with, and basically they'll go back to the basics, as they say. They will develop original content, which will focus on science fiction, fantasy, paranormal, and superhero comics. So part of this is the Krypton stuff, and the graphic novel adaptation Happy starring Christopher Malini. They also have a George R.R. Martin novella called Night Flyers in the works as well. So, branding starts this year. Original content starts in the fall and into the winter. So you have that to look forward to next year. However, in the year 2018 is shaping up to be the Battle of the Deadpools, as FXX has officially ordered a Deadpool animated series set to debut. 10 episodes they've ordered from executive producer Donald Glover and Stephen Glover, who are also going to serve as showrunners and writers for the upcoming show. No word yet on who will voice Deadpool.
Donald Glover?
Yeah. From Atlanta. And also no word on what this does for second season of Atlanta, which still has a tentative release date of fall 2018. But they said with this new Deadpool show coming out, he may be devoting too much of his time to this and his other side projects like Star Wars and Childish Gambino and just about everything else. So who knows what it means for Atlanta? What?
Being an entire hip-hop artist?
Yes, that too, yeah. But that's like a side project.
Yeah. I like that he's on it because I trust, as much as I don't like some of the directions he's gone, I trust him to be passionate about content. If his name were attached to it, there's I guess I'm just doing old sayings today, but it's you can either fizzle out or like go out in a blaze of glory. I think Deadpool is real close to going out in a blaze of glory. I'm just being like, there's too much. I don't need it. I'm out. I'm not, honestly, don't care about this show.
I feel like he'll probably he'll write for the first season, maybe second season as well, but he won't really do too much after that.
Is anybody genuinely excited, though? Like about a Deadpool show?
I'm not excited, but I'm intrigued.
I'm excited that he's part of the project, but I'm not.
I honestly think this has more longevity than the Ryan Reynolds movies. Because after a third Deadpool movie with Ryan Reynolds, I think I'm going to be done with that. Even though the first one was great, I'm super excited for the second one. I think there's great potential for a third. And then if you want to offshoot him into other movies and he can be your new Logan or whatever, great. But an animated Deadpool series has a really good chance of being the next Archer for this network and could really keep going. So I'm intrigued by it, but I want to see the first season. If it's like the original Joe Kelly run, I believe is what it is, it's going to be great. And then you could get a good 7 years out of it. And if you have an end in mind, it could be a great show. Or this could crash and burn. It literally could go either way. I just can't believe that they gave it to him after they're like, Atlanta, that was a great success. Let's get a second season of that. No, let's get him to write as many shows as possible instead of just focusing all our attention on one.
Well, you could remember, it also might have not been their decision. Honestly,
True.
like he does seem like the kind of guy that's like, yeah, I'm going to put it on the back burner. Like Atlanta might be a show that he loves, but is really draining for him.
Could.
So he's like, I'm not in the mindset to crank this out yet. I'm going to do something else where I can kind of distance myself, not be so personal, and get some time away. And fortunately, if you're an artist that had such a success, you can make those decisions for a time until people turn on you or you don't put out that product. But that could be the situation we're looking at.
In other X-Men TV news, Fox has officially ordered the X-Men Connected Television series, now called The Gifted, for a full season order for the 2017-2018 season. And, well, as you're listening to this cast, you can check out the trailer online. However, it's debuting after we record. But trailer for it comes out this week.
Meh.
Too much X-Men? Is this the way they should be going? Or what are your thoughts on... We've kind of touched on this off and on over the past 2 months, but the X-Men universe as a whole, do you like the fact that they're kind of going more towards television and little mini segments, or do we want to see the next movie come out or anything? What would keep your attention span longer in the X-Men universe? Or maybe neither will.
I feel like they're trying to do too much at one time right now. Like all of these things seem like stuff that I would be really interested in, but they're just, it's like, oh, here's this and here's this and here's this and here's this, and it's like, whoa, what?
Throwing everything.
I haven't even seen what that first one even looks like yet, sort of thing. You know?
So you think they're trying to milk it all for what it's worth before they know what eventually is going to happen in about the next 10 years and it's going to revert back to Marvel?
Probably.
I think it's interesting because we keep saying that we want like new characters. Like, okay, let's look past Magneto and Xavier for a while. But you also remember that there's a reason why they put those tentpole characters out, because they are the most compelling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what is more interesting is we want interesting characters, but like you said, to have so many of them so frequently, it's tough to pick someone to care about when there's so many different options.
Yeah.
And just so much flooding like your mental capacity. Like, it'd be easier if we said, okay, we're gonna follow these 6 people in movies, and that's a little bit easier for you to get invested in. I mean, personally, that's where I'm kind of at with all of this. I mean, the biggest names are probably, what did they announce? What's the one? This is ridiculous.
It's New Mutants. The girl that played
Anya Taylor-Joy, I believe, is playing Magic.
S. Williams.
And Maisie Williams is playing Wolfsbane.
Yeah. That's probably the biggest name right now, is that Magic is probably the biggest name that we've come across in these TV shows, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do, but I'm going to give it a chance because Fox, I normally like Fox programming. Other than the CW, they're usually the station that gets my attention the most. So I'm definitely going to give it a shot. I gave Gotham a shot for a little bit. So if I gave that a shot, I think by default I have to give anything a shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like an unwritten contract. Coming up, it doesn't matter that the Dark Ages lasted 400 years. We're going to take a look at it here in just a second with, I don't know, our favorite medieval stuff. I don't have much.
You have none.
I have 2.
I already know what they are.
And now for the smooth sounds of 3 Wise Radio.
Why is the water dropped? There are rumors. The legend of the sword of a king other than yourself. Find him.
You're starting to mean something. You're no longer a myth.
But as we said, King Arthur and the Legend of the Sword is out to bad reviews, which raises the question, do we want to see medieval movies? We, of course, know we like medieval shows because Game of Thrones does gangbusters. And so does, what's the word I'm looking for? Lord of the Rings. That's what I was looking for. You know, I forget that legendary tale. But is it like a Western now? Is it to the point where this genre is no longer viable? So we thought we'd take an in-depth look into our favorite medieval stuff and see if it really is still a good genre to put a movie out for.
Fair enough.
So
Okay.
I'm not a huge medieval guy. I've got 2 things I like, and I'm pretty sure these guys can already tell you what it is. So I'll go last.
Yours is Tristan and Isolde, correct?
Is that the Hayden Christensen movie, or is that James Franco?
That's the James Franco movie. Before Romeo and Juliet, there was Tristan and Isolde.
It was called Isolde?
Isolde. However you say it.
Isolde. Isolde?
Isolde.
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 Sorry, that's dumb. It's Isolde.
Anywho, no, sorry.
That's not it.
But
Okay.
not it. So we'll start with Sam. Sam, what are some of your favorite medieval things?
Some of my favorite medieval things.
Or like film, television, media in general.
I mean, I personally like medieval. I like more the real side of it outside of movies. When we get into movies, and that's a different thing that I wanted to ask you guys about is how much do you want to delve into fictional medieval times versus real? But I've been to
and let's go all the way down that rabbit hole.
Renaissance fairs. Has anybody been to one?
I went to the Knights thing up in, I don't know.
Medieval times? You're
Yeah,
talking
I
about
went
like
up
the
to medieval
jousting
times.
tournament when you have a dinner?
Times, yeah.
It's great. I love it.
But have you been to a Renaissance fair?
I have not.
Neither of you have been? I'm surprised.
Nope. The only time I've ever actually even seen a Renaissance fair was on Family Guy.
I've just never been in the area of one.
It's a fun time. Like it's kind of a con, which is nice. It's kind of refreshing because you don't have as many expectations from a Renaissance fair because they kind of have a lowbrow thing to begin with, and you kind of it's looked down upon from the general population. But it's fun. Like they do shows and people are selling their wares. The last one I went to was really good because one of the blacksmiths also had like a replica Iron Man helmet, and he's like, "Ooh, this is a magic helmet," which was quite funny.
They're very much in character the entire time during a Renaissance fair.
Correct. Yes. Oh, and then there's different scales of like there's high end ones and low end ones where people are a little more likely to break character, but they're all in character for the most part, and you don't necessarily have to be. They don't try and actively engage you in character. Like they're not pricks where you're like, hey, I only got $50. And they're like, oh, shillings, you mean, or whatever it is they talk about. Like they don't. I don't
because that's my fear. That's why I've never been. That's my fear. Have you ever seen that South Park episode where they go to like the old like 1800s one, and no one breaks character even though there's like a terrorist attack happening? I'm so deadly scared that I'm going to go insane because no one's going to break character for anything at one of these things. My own life might be in danger.
They won't break character. If they need to break character, they will, but they're not going to berate you for not going along with it.
Okay.
But it's a lot of fun. I actually had our buddy Brian from Good Bad Bad Bad. He and his girlfriend went as the Doctor and River Song, and people got
nice.
It's probably not the first time that's been done, but people got a big kick out of it at the fair of them just pretending like, oh, hey, we're here in the Middle Ages and we're from the future, and people kind of embraced it and went along with it, and that was kind of interesting. That's cool. But you guys should check that out.
Okay.
I like medieval. I'm a pretty big medieval fan. I like going to history museums and seeing exhibits and things. I really like the weaponry and the armor of the times and things like that. As far as the movies go, though, for some reason, I'm more of a fan of the
fantasy side of it.
The fantasy side of it, of magic and how that, like the idea of might and magic and what's more powerful, like wizardry or armies, or like the resolution of a knight versus a sorcerer. Mm-hmm. I'm more that side of it. I don't know about you guys.
Yes.
Joe?
No,
not at all. No, it's dumb.
No, it's okay. To break it down exactly why I'm not a huge medieval fan, it's romanticizing a period in time where literally we backtracked as a world society.
That is correct.
We took a huge step back. And it's like, oh, man, remember this time where the plague was rampant and, like, people just killed people for being a lower class or, like, not growing the right beets or not washing the prince's feet? Like, it's so ass backwards. And they're like, but it was magical and, oh, honor and, oh, it's so lovely. And I'm like, no, you would have died. We all would have died. And if we wouldn't, we would have been very lucky or had a crap ton of money. I don't see the fantasy or the romanticize of it. And it's just, I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't understand it.
I mean, he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong, but also I don't think there was I think the type of beets were just beets. You grew the wrong beets. I like my beets pink. These are more of a purplish hue.
Off with his head. That's what would happen.
There's no one type of beet.
Don't know.
You're the wrong type of beet. As penance, wash the prince's feet.
I don't want to. Well, then you're going to die.
When you are dead. So, the only thing that I would combat that with, I think maybe this has been an outside conversation that I've had with you guys. Maybe it was on the podcast. Can't remember. Going for it anyway. It's the idea, like, yeah, this is a garbage time. I mean, there's plenty of stand-up bits that talk about, oh, man, if you could relive in a time, where would you live in? It's like, if you said the Middle Ages, like, nope. That's a horrible time to live, just like in the Wild West. Like, sounds like a great idea, but no, you die
pretty quickly.
It's a terrible place to exist, which is why you kind of embrace the idea of like knighthood and chivalry, because
everything else sucks.
It could be so easy to just become an outlaw or become a bandit or abandon principles and morals and things like that, and the idea that it's not that hard to have morals and principles in today's age. I mean, we live the coziest lifestyles of anyone in the history of time. But to be able to do it back then when everything was on the line and it would be just as easy and complete. There's no camera phones. There's no nothing. The way you treat people is just word of mouth. It's your word against theirs. That's the part that's impressive, and that's the part where I think heroes are really easy to craft there because that bar is set so low that it's almost impressive when you
raise it at
really
all.
Higher. I guess maybe when you raise it, that's what I kind of get the kick out of it.
That's fair. Do you like magic in your medieval stuff, or is it just straight go with the times?
I like magic, but I like magic to be the bad guy. I like the idea. I don't like when
none of that devil stuff, man.
I not so much that, but this is also I think it's interesting because medieval and what you like in medieval I think translates really well to like characters you play in video games. I think I've always been a person that always plays like the barbarian or the warrior class or whatever. I think it's why I like the Hulk and Captain America stuff. People that aren't like magic and projectile based because I like the idea of like willpower and focus and determination, being able to beat out this unknown like force, this like power that is just drawn from God knows where, and who knows if you actually had to work for it. So I like that aspect of it is overcoming something with like willpower and just that aspect. So I like more when it's bad guys that are able to shoot fireballs out of their hands. If that makes sense.
No, it does. And I think way back in the day, I liked the original story of King Arthur. I thought there was something interesting there with Merlin, and then there's like the stepmother who sleeps with him, and they have a child together. I don't know, something weird like that.
It's
and the
soap
child
opera.
grows up and becomes the rival. And the original story, I remember not hating. I don't know how closely that movie follows it, but
I'm gonna guess not much. Well, apparently it's supposed to be a six movie saga. Ugh.
what?
It's unlikely to happen.
No, it won't, because so far it's only grossed $43.8 million on a budget of $175.
Well, I haven't gone to see it yet, and I will be seeing it. I think alone, though.
Will you really?
Yeah, I really want to see this.
I do like the trailer. I do like, and it goes back to one of the few things I actually like about medieval, which is A Knight's Tale. I like, for some reason, if it's medieval stuff, you have to have a kick-ass rock song during it. I think if you do that, it's something about
metal,
the tone
bro.
where it's like, it's hard, it's grit. Like, I don't want to hear like the folky,
Flute and lute
twingy
shit.
banjo thing. What is it?
A leer.
Flute and lute.
Is that like the 3-string bowl guitar
Yes.
they play?
Yes, it's a lute.
Oh, the lute. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't want to hear that at all. There is nothing rappy about it. This is in your face, do or die. Shit's real. It's
Heavy metal.
Yeah. So like that, I enjoy that when they institute that. So it's why, and I'll say the first thing, it's why I like A Knight's Tale.
Yep.
A Knight's Tale took all of like what was great about our society, where it was like, we're going to make it around jousting and jousting tournaments, but we're going to do very much like add the Nike swoosh, and he's going to have like a manager, and he's going to have like a trainer, and he's going to have all these things. So you can see today's elements in the story back then. So in that sense, I could get behind the romanticizing of it, because it's the only reason I know David Bowie's Golden Years is because they danced to that in a scene. And I'm like, that fits perfectly. Like, when you can take today's world and shift it, which you'll hear about my next thing later on, you can take today's world and shift it into the past. That's when I find it fun. It's why Back to the Future 3 is so fun. It's because it takes elements of today's world and shifts it into the West. Same thing with medieval times.
I agree. I also know what your second movie is, but yeah, I think Knight's Tale is obviously at the top for all of us. Let's see, where do we want to take it from here?
I mean, how different is just the normal medieval stuff you like from, say, Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings? Because I'll throw those two in the same boat, or I could be way off by doing that.
Pretty different for me. I mean, the medieval stuff, like medieval movies that I like, are more gimmicky.
Okay.
They have more of like it's not like a hard, like for instance, what's a movie that I've never seen that's a medieval movie? Like King Arthur I didn't see with, who's in that?
Is it Orlando Bloom?
I think so.
Keira
From
Knightley?
2004. Keira Knightley's in it.
It's Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. No, I think it's Robin Hood. We know movies here.
We know all the movies. Kingdom of Heaven. Kingdom of Heaven was Orlando Bloom, right?
No, wasn't that Jason Statham? No, that was The King, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was. Yes, that was.
Kingdom of Heaven was Orlando Bloom.
We're so bad at this.
Orlando Bloom.
See, I know what I'm doing. Like, wasn't into that at all. Anything that's kind of like a period piece without any fluff in it. But a big one that I loved, obviously, one of the best comedies of all time, Holy Grail, Monty Python. Quest of Holy
It's a
Grail.
good one.
Like that's classic for me. Another one, I Won't Steal Joe's Thunder, Season of the Witch,
Oh, that is good too.
Ron
Damn.
Perlman,
All right, you got me there.
and Nicolas Cage.
That's more of the Nick Cage, Ron Perlman combo / the evil is a witch at the end, but
Yeah.
or not a witch. Wait,
But
there was a twist in there somewhere.
There's a medieval element to a movie that you could probably do like outside of medieval times.
King Arthur was Clive Owen, by the way.
There was.
Gotcha.
All
And then,
8 different versions of Robin Hood.
Army of Darkness was good. I liked that.
Yeah.
You're right. Army of Darkness was good, and I do like the Robin Hood story. Don't like the Russell Crowe version. Like the Errol Flynn version. There's some other love the Disney version.
Disney version's the best
Robin
version.
Hood I love.
Robin Hood Men in Tights, does that count as medieval?
I would count it.
I'd count it.
That's a strong count. Okay, good.
I mean,
good.
You know what? Because we counted Monty Python, I count Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah, I suppose that's accurate. So there's always like an element of comedy or science fiction or something there that makes the movies a little bit different. On the other hand, did not like Your Highness
Yeah,
was the
I wasn't a
comedy
big
with-
fan of that either.
with
Danny
Natalie
McBride
Portman,
and Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
James Franco.
I was going to say Jason Statham. Probably would have made that better, but yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't get behind that. That was a little too in your face. But those are the big ones that I liked, and then I did have a question about another one that I think Garrett and I will get to later. But that's kind of my area.
Okay, Garrett, how about you?
I mean, I'm in the same boat with all of those. I definitely am big more on the fantasy side of things. I like what kind of just going off of the tangent he was talking about with like magic and everything. I'm okay with my good guys knowing how to do magic, but magic can't be like a widespread thing. Magic still has to be like a mystery that like only a select few can do, and that's just because like who knows why.
It's the tipping point almost, or like the last line of defense.
Yeah, and like because I really like the whole story of the wizards in Lord of the Rings. Like they aren't supposed to be involved with everything. They're just kind of there to just like observe and make sure things happen naturally, and just make sure that like the evil forces don't get too out of hand. They're not supposed to eradicate evil. They're just supposed to be like, hey, just you do your thing over there, evil, but as long as it doesn't interfere with us over here, we'll be fine. And that was the whole big thing about Saruman being corrupted in Lord of the Rings. Is like,
But didn't Christopher Lee and Ian McKellen battle because they were on opposite sides in both wizards?
yes, because
One
because
fell.
yeah, Saruman, Christopher Lee fell to the side of evil.
Wait, I thought Saruman was the one-eyed dude.
No, that's Sauron.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, I got those two names confused. Didn't sound the same at all.
But and then like the same thing with Game of Thrones, where it's like magic is like it can be super powerful, but like no one knows how to properly use it. It's just like I kind of know how to somewhat harness this sort of thing. But
Isn't there the old lady who knows how to harness it, who looks hot and then's really old?
she kind of knows how to harness it.
If you can put up that facade for a long time, I think you got it under control.
Question: has anybody actually seen Black Knight with Martin Lawrence?
Yes.
I have not. Is that good?
So
Is that
it's
your other
okay.
movie, Joe?
What?
Was that your other movie?
No, it was not my other
Okay,
movie.
his other movie is
No, but
Timeline.
it does bring into what my other movie is about, which is when you take someone from the present and they fall somehow through a time portal back into medieval times,
such as Timeline.
such as Timeline. But I was going to say, like, before I got to that, Black Knight, like, yes, Army of Darkness is another version of A Kid in King Arthur's Court was another version of it,
Yeah.
starring the dude from Rookie of the Year who's later in American Pie movies. Those are good movies, but Timeline does it like almost the best in the sense of these are excavators like uncovering a site, and then they're kidnapped almost, or like asked to be escorted by a government program who's like, we need to go back and your father did this and we need to rescue your father, and then they get stuck there and they're fighting for their lives to get back, but one of them stays behind, aka Gerard Butler, and then you come to find out that the dude that they were uncovering was Gerard Butler, and it was like, okay, that's cool. Like,
Meta time loop.
yeah, that's so I would put it more into like a time travel movie than a medieval movie, like a time travel movie with medieval elements.
That goes into
But-
my category.
Right.
Medieval, but there's something else going on. It's not just a straight medieval depiction.
Exactly, but it shows you like how there's a great scene in it where it shows you like how different it is. I can't remember his name, but it's the guy who plays like Dum Dum Dugan and was the big bad in Arrow season 4.
Crap, what's his name?
Billy Connolly.
No,
That's the dude from Boondock Saints who plays the
Michael
father.
Sheen.
no.
You know who I'm talking about,
I know
though.
who you're talking about.
Who-
What's his name?
The guy who played Damien Dark.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a funny guy.
Yes, he is. But he has like a great scene in Timeline where like he's being dragged by a guy who he recognizes who went through the portal in the beginning, and he's like, you can help us, help me do all this stuff. And he's like, dude, no, like, don't talk about that sorcery shit. Like, you're in the past now. It's over. Like, don't bring that up. Be quiet.
It's Neil McDonough.
Thank you. Yes, great actor, by the way, though. Yeah, it's just those type of movies are the types of medieval things I like, is when the medieval aspect is almost a second nature of it, or we can combine it with a present day aspect. That's when I'm on board.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Combining with present day aspects, you say?
So,
Such as?
funny thing that I want to touch base on right now is Garrett and I were talking before we got the cast, and we both had one movie that we want to bring up. We have not disclosed it to each other, but we think it's the exact same one. It's both on our lists, but we're not sure if it counts. And I said to hold it. Garrett, does your movie rhyme with Reign of Schmeier?
Yes. Yes, it does. My movie is Reign of Fire.
Does Reign of Fire count as a medieval movie? If you're not familiar with Reign of Fire,
I'm familiar with it,
Good.
but
well, for those of us that are not familiar with it, it is a movie starring, again, before their time, Christian Bale, Matthew McConaughey, Gerard Butler, and then a couple of other people. But that triple cast you're not going to be able to get almost immediately after this movie comes out. It's based in modern-day London when we dig too deep and unearth dragons, sending everyone back to the Stone Age.
I was going to say, wasn't that a post-apocalyptic future?
It absolutely was.
Okay, great.
But
All
there's
right.
dragons in it, so can we say medieval times?
There's dragons and swords and castles.
and axes.
So for all there needs to happen is there to be dragons and castles, and it's a medieval picture for you, or story, regardless of when it takes place in the timeline of
Christian
society.
Bale jumps at a dragon with a sword in his hand. I think that's
Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, was it?
Jumps at a dragon with an axe.
Okay. That's pretty medieval to me.
There are
Okay.
cars.
Hang on. So is it because he jumps at him with a sword, or would you just say dragons and castles is what makes a medieval movie?
I mean, it's a damn good selling point.
Because depending on your definition of castles, you could call skyscrapers castles in the sky, and therefore The Lost World is a medieval movie because
No.
dinosaurs are also forms of dragon.
No.
No, they're not. That's not. No. They're more like birds than they are like dragons.
And how are flying lizards not like birds or walking lizards?
Because science said so. That they were
There are
like
no such
Because-
thing as
because that-
dragons. We don't know.
Exactly.
They're what we want
that's
to
the
be.
thing, though. Dragons are like a fantastical. They're this mystical creature that we can't prove exists, but for some reason is rooted in every single form of mythology and like fantasy.
Oh, dragons were for sure real.
Like unicorns?
No, unicorns are a joke. Dragons are for sure real.
But we have not yet haven't found any viable proof for that, and so that there's that element of mystery to it, I think, and I think that's kind of the whole thing that wraps up Reign of Fire is that like what if dragons are real and we do dig too deep and like we
Too
find
deep.
dragons, like what then? What do we do? Can guns work? Do we have to revert back to the Stone Ages to try and kill these things? We don't know.
Because if guns don't work,
We're fucked.
swords will.
That's not true at all.
What if I told you Matthew McConaughey was bald with a big bushy beard?
Oh yes.
In Reign of Fire.
I mean,
Say
I'm
that's-
well familiar with
Would you say that's medieval?
Yes. It also could be biker gang, so I don't know. It still could go either way.
Damn it. It's probably not medieval.
I mean, I don't think it's a, it has to have castles and dragons, and it's kind of an atmospheric thing as well as having those different little set elements to it.
You're just trying to stretch it so that it works.
I mean, God bless you for doing
We've
so.
all agreed that this works already.
I mean, sure.
But I'm just trying to answer Joe's
post-apocalyptic-
question a bit better.
Post-apocalyptic future can go backwards and be something else. Like, I mean, you can start over the timeline. It's like almost Earth rebooting itself.
Yeah.
Which
To
is,
a certain
again, I
extent.
think, another subtext of, like, it's a movie that has medieval elements, but it's only part of what the movie is. Just like if you have a movie where it's a post-apocalyptic movie with a theme. Like, for instance, if one's post-apocalyptic and it sends people back to the Stone Age, like the game Horizon Zero Dawn, that's technically not a prehistoric game because it's in the future, but everybody considers it a prehistoric game with some time elements that are a bit much. But for instance, say, what's the movie with Will Smith? I keep wanting to say iRobot. I Am Legend. That is a post-apocalyptic kind of horror movie that doesn't really have a
timeline
time
setting.
theme.
Yeah.
So it's still just a post-apocalyptic thing.
All right. That's fair. That's very fair.
There you go.
Assassin's Creed. Medieval, the first one, or no?
The game.
The
Game, of
movie
course.
should have been. But yes, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the game takes.
It absolutely
Yeah.
is.
I guess I just don't think of it as medieval because it's
A simulation.
I've always associated medieval with like
Isn't he in Europe?
at the very end of the game, the very last mission, you have to go and kill the head Templar or whatever, and it turns out he's part of like King Richard's army or something.
So where is he before Europe?
He's in like Middle East or something, right?
I think he's in. Is he in Jerusalem?
He's in Denver.
Yeah.
He's in Denver. Yes, he's in Fenton, Missouri. You travel to a few different places.
I mean, like
but it's more Middle East than.
It definitely is in that. It definitely fits in with the medieval timeline.
Okay, that brings up another point. Does it have to be British and in like the British Empire to be medieval?
No.
Or is
Because let's remember, Crusaders like to travel, so covered a pretty broad spectrum there. I don't think it does. No, I mean that's where you want to do it because that's like the epitome of it. But it took place across all of Europe and on the fringes of the rest of the world, based on my.
I think it has to stick with Europe for the most part, because like Europe is where is where you get the knight system, is where you get the Crusades.
But the Crusades extended out of Europe.
Yes, but I mean like
there's a lot of dead bodies to prove it.
It has to be like European centric, I guess.
Either that or European, kind of like with the. I wouldn't even call them Europeans with a depiction of it, but with Assassin's Creed, like they are the antagonist. And their system overriding your system is what kind of brings it into the element of.
Nope, that's good enough for me. Good enough argument for me.
All right.
Speaking of which, fun fact, current rumor for Assassin's Creed is that they are indeed going to Egypt, which is one of the one locations they could do that would make me buy the game.
Egypt or Japan for me.
Yeah.
All right, so King Arthur in theaters now. See it, don't. We don't care. We get no money from it.
I would definitely go matinee.
Let's see. I've been working on my diction, so let's give this a shot. Three Wise. Nope.
Three Wise Radio.
So, real quick, before we get to piquing your interest, I just want to bring up, I pulled up the guy who, so I'm on the Wikipedia page, and you know how at the bottom of Wikipedia page, it has like, how you can basically get lost into Wikipedia. It's like show more to where like films directed by Guy Ritchie, and it pulls up all Guy Ritchie's films that he's written, produced, directed, you know, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The last one is works by Kivia Goldsman. And this man, who is 54, is a director, writer, producer, and has had, man, he's only directed 2 movies. I don't know either of them. But the man has a great background and library of things in his tank. So do you want to hear first the movies he's written or the movies he produced? And you can tell me whether they're hits or misses.
Written.
Yeah.
Written? Okay, he did not write King Arthur. He produced King Arthur. So we'll save that for a different thing. But written, he wrote The Client with Tom Cruise.
Never seen it.
I've heard good things. So Silent Fall, never seen that either. Batman Forever.
Huge miss.
Screw you. Batman and Robin.
Huge success.
Lost in Space.
Great movie.
Practical Magic.
Unfamiliar.
It's like a group of 4 witches, I think, starring Sandra Bullock. A Beautiful Mind.
Okay. Respect.
I, Robot.
Great movie.
Cinderella Man.
I heard that's a good movie, but I never saw it.
That is a good movie, actually. I just watched it the other day. The Da Vinci Code.
It's a good movie.
I Am Legend. Angels and Demons.
Pretty good.
Which I prefer over Da Vinci Code, personally. Winter's Tale. Don't know what that is. The Divergent series Insurgent.
Oh, God.
Divergent, Insurgent, McGurgent?
Yeah. And the most recent Rings.
What a talent.
He's also produced other such movies such as Deep Blue Sea.
Ooh, yes.
Starsky and Hutch.
1995 to 2005, this guy was on fire.
Right?
Constantine. Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Poseidon. Hancock. The Losers. Jonah Hex. Lone Survivor. And now King Arthur.
This guy was the quintessential, we want to make a movie that's not going to change lives, but we want people to kind of like it. Let's get this guy.
This dude is all over the place.
Yeah. It's a talented man.
He is literally blowing a creative shotgun at the wall and seeing what he can hit.
And that's why you buy a shotgun, for the spread. So,
Mission accomplished.
job well done.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to bring that up.
All right, let's go hop on into piquing your interest then.
All right, as usual, we end every episode with what's piquing our interest, or we just say what's piquing our interest. Garrett, what's piquing your interest this week?
What's piquing my interest is that we have a little over 2 months. 2 months and 2 days towards Game of Thrones returning. And I don't know, I'm just really excited about it.
It fits with the motif this week, so I'll give it to you.
Yeah, you're going to give it to me. It's my piquing my interest. Fuck you.
Piquing interest rejected. Please reassess what you're excited about and bring something else to the table.
All right, well, fine.
No, it's acceptable. You got it.
Oh, okay.
Sam, what's piquing your interest this week?
Piquing my interest so I can finally stop talking about it. In 2 days, I will be... I've totally lost my train of thought. Piquing my interest is that I will be receiving Injustice 2, Gods Among Us, in the mail in 2 days. So, very excited to see if that
I'll be over here
is
on
what
Tuesday.
is what I want it to be.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually buying a PlayStation 4 for it. So, Injustice 2, you're getting it through the mail. So,
Yeah,
are you
Amazon.
strictly now a mail-based, are you like Amazon-based game buyer?
Amazon gives me my video games for 20% less than anyone else does. So, yes.
Will you ever buy a video game not from Amazon anymore?
If somebody can give me a better deal, yes. I have no loyalties other than my wallet in this regard. I am a mercenary video game buyer.
Good enough.
I like it.
What's piquing my interest this week is the movie Chuck. So if you're unfamiliar with the movie Chuck, it stars Liv Schreiber as the real-life inspiration for Rocky. So he plays the real-life boxer who inspired Sylvester Stallone to write Rocky. He went 15 rounds with Muhammad Ali and basically got the crap beat out of him. And what is piquing my interest about this movie is, one, I like Liv Schreiber. Great actor.
He's great.
2, it's tied in with Rocky, and it's a boxing movie. You've got me there. But 3, this dude's life was not as poetic as Rocky. Like, he never goes on to become a big name, and he ends up at one point, I believe, fighting a bear. So, like, the joke where Will Ferrell's like, I'll fight a bear for, like, funny and, like, attendance, like, in semi-pro, like, I want to say that was loosely based off what actually happened to this man. And, like, he just, like, went downhill, man.
Shit.
Sometimes you don't need a Cinderella story. Sometimes people fail.
I just like watching a train wreck sometimes.
But not the movie Trainwreck with Amy Schumer.
Actually, that movie wasn't bad.
Okay. With Bill Hader and LeBron James.
Yeah, I
LeBron
mean,
James was actually one of the good parts of that movie.
Oh yeah, no, he was.
All right.
But
John Cena being the best part of that movie.
it wasn't completely bad. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. However, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, our complete spoiler re-review is out, so make sure you check that out. It's up now. Also, we have a sister podcast called Movie Versus, which comes out every Thursday, and this week, I guess because Alien Covenant's coming out, they're doing Alien 3 versus Predator 2. So a little AVP action on Movie Versus this week. Preliminary vote. Which one of you think is the better movie, Alien 3 or Predators 2?
Alien 3. Predator 2 is really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Never seen Alien 3, so.
I mean, Alien 3. Alien 3 is also really bad. It's kind of the theme of their entire cast, so I can't really say one's better than the other, but...
That's for them to decide.
It
not
really
us.
is.
If you want to email us and you can tell us which movie's better, Alien 3 or Predator 2, you can do Movie Versus, but you can also email us at 3wiseradio@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram at 3wiseradio or on Facebook at 3wisemedia. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you next.
Oh God, why isn't that stopping?
3 Wise Radio is a production of 3 Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.